Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin/cryptocurrency update for January the 29th. Before I jump into this video, please do me a huge favor, hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to click that bell icon to get notifications when I release new updates. So guys, what's up with this market, right? Let's talk about this. Am I a bull yet? I said if it closed above the 200 daily, I'd turn into a bull. So let's talk about my bullishness, my bearishness. Let's talk about some charts, talk about what I think is happening. And I want to share a very important lesson with you guys about trading today. And that's, basically we'll start there and then we'll dive into the charts, okay? First things first, guys, there's no other way to say this. I've completely screwed up the last month, okay? Not because I think the bear market is over yet, but it doesn't matter about that. I got so laser focused on my position trading, which goes off of weekly charts, that I just completely missed an amazing opportunity to get in on this daily uptrend, right? We've been in a daily uptrend since December, and I just didn't think it would go as high as it did. I mean, I thought it might pump up to 9,200, but I wasn't that confident, yada, yada, yada. So I want to tell you guys now that when I was going back and I was looking at some of my old videos, one of the first telltale signs that I was not trading correctly was this. You guys saw me, if you watched the channel, you saw me draw this. You saw me draw this uptrend. You saw me say that, hey, this is probably going to go up to 8,100 or 8,400. And if it gets really leggy, it might even go up to 8,900, right? You saw me for 2 months over and over say that it might go up and test the 61.8 fib and test this old level of resistance. But then when it started happening, I didn't trade it that way. Then when it started happening, I just kept, looking for short positions versus looking for longs. And even though I made money on some of those shorts, I would have made a lot more money had I been longing this. If you see yourself drawing an uptrend and trying to find reasons to short the uptrend, you're doing it wrong, okay? I drew this uptrend, and then I tried to trade it short, which was stupid. And the reason I did that is I kept trying to catch the top, right? I wanted to catch the top on the move and write it down to its new low. I was very sure that it was going down to $5,000 or lower, so I got greedy, right? I basically got greedy, and there's no other excuse for that. It wasn't fear as much as greed that made me do that. So if you see yourself doing that, if you see yourself drawing uptrends, make sure you're longing the uptrend. If you see yourself drawing downtrends, make sure you're shorting the downtrend, okay? What made it difficult was we are in a downtrend still on a weekly level. We still have not put in a higher high, so this is still a weekly downtrend, okay? But daily, it's been an uptrend, and it's been an uptrend. Really, back here you didn't know it was an uptrend, but at this point, when this pulled back to the 61.8, I'm going to give you guys a trade lesson. Remember this. If you don't remember anything else I've taught you in these videos, please remember this. One of the reasons, and you can go back and watch the video, back in June, I said that I thought this would pull back to around 6,000 bucks was because, $7,200 was because I was drawing my fibs from the bottom to the top, and 7,200 bucks was the 61.8, right? Between 72.31 and 68.87 was the golden pocket on the larger time frame. So if you wanted to be a long-term investor, this is often a really great place to look for a long position. And in fact, some people will just flat out blindly buy an asset when it gets down to this position, okay? And more often than not, in Bitcoin's case, that's worked out really well as long as you're not in a bear market, okay? Because I thought we were in a bear market, I didn't do that. But this is where it gets interesting. If we zoom into a daily chart, we're going to leave those yellow lines on there so you can see. Look at all this consolidation. You have consolidation in the golden pocket. And a few months ago, I said, if we get bullish structure in the golden pocket, I'll look for long positions. Well, what did I do? I stayed so bear biased that I didn't look for any long positions, even though we had an inverse head and shoulders, which is what? It's bullish freaking structure, right? Stupid. So learn from that mistake. But on top of that, that mistake gets compounded because, watch this. From this low to this high. I even did a video on this and even said this might be the pullback in a new uptrend, but then I didn't long it. You see where this yellow line is chopping through? It's chopping through between the 61.8 and the 65. It's literally the golden pocket on the smaller move. So now you have a golden pocket inside of the larger golden pocket. If you wanted to long Bitcoin, you had so many reasons to do so right here. It was the right shoulder of the inverse head and shoulders, right? It wasn't confirmed yet, but it looked like an inverse head and shoulders. It was the 61.8 fib of the smaller move. It was also within the golden pocket of the larger move. Right there was a good place to long Bitcoin. Now, did I long it? I did long it there. The problem is I didn't believe in the move, so I took a smaller than normal position, and I closed it up here around resistance at 7,200, and I think it was $34. So I missed, and again, this is because I was bear biased, I missed all of this, okay? So learn from that. If you see price coming into a golden pocket inside of another golden pocket, you definitely want to look for long setups. I'm not saying automatically go long, that's up to you, but I'm saying that make sure that you're not missing a trade, okay? So I wanted to show you guys that. The other thing is this entire uptrend, and I pointed this out in videos, but again, I just ignored it, right? Boom, resistance. Went above it, came back down, tested it as support, moved up. That's called a support, I think they call it an SR flip is what a lot of people on Twitter like to call it. I don't know what it's called technically. All I call it is resistance turning into support, right? But basically came above it, came back down and tested it. That was a reason to, believe in the uptrend. Came up here, did the same thing, right? Didn't do it on the wick that time, but it did do it right there on the closes. Came back down, tested it right around $8,200. By the way, that is where I closed my shorts. If you guys remember, I was shorting up in this area, and I closed my shorts down at 8,280. I was smart enough to recognize that we were probably in an uptrend and to get out of my short positions, but I wasn't smart enough to open a long right here. I should have flipped long, not just closed my shorts, okay? And then it went up again. And if you look what's happening right now, look at this, guys. Here's your high wick, there's your tail, and it's come down a couple of times and tested that. Doesn't look like it because it's a daily candle, but you turn it into a 4-hour, it keeps trying to dump down to that, but it's staying above it. So why am I drawing all that out? Number one, so you can learn from it, but number two, there's actually something important to talk about. If you want to be bearish, you need to watch this level. You need price to break under this level if you want to be a bear, okay? If it can't break under that level, I don't think there's any hope left for the bears, okay? That being said, bulls, what do you need to do? Well, you want price to break above this level, okay? Which is the weekly high. So there's your range, right? There's your range to watch. Is it going to break down here first, or is it going to break through here first? What do I think is going to happen? Well, guys, I was actually starting to lean pretty bullish last night. I was really getting there, or yesterday, not really last night. But it was 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the afternoon. I started thinking, man, I don't know what's going on here. This might, really have some legs to it. And then Bitcoin did something that absolutely, number one, pissed me off royally. It wasn't Bitcoin's fault. It was the exchange I was trading on's fault. But number two, looks scammy as all get out. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about this. There was almost no volume, right? No volume, no volume, no volume. And then suddenly in this 1 5-minute candle, you had this massive 1.5 thousand Bitcoin volume. Okay. Now, why did it piss me off? It pissed me off because I had a stop loss on BitMEX at 92.67, right in this area. And when I looked over after I got stopped out, I was like, okay, no biggie, right? It's not a big deal to get stopped out. It happens all the time. But when I looked over, my balance was lower than it should have been. I was like, what is going on? And I realized that my stop loss executed right there. They had over 1% slippage on my order. And somebody said, is it because you were using a bigger order? No, right? I don't use that bigger orders, guys. I'm not that type of trader. I'm not doing $1 million trades. I don't know what happened, but somebody commented that they did a 0.2 Bitcoin trade and had the same thing happen. Totally messed up my trade, right? I ended up losing more than an extra %. So that was a bummer. Somebody on Twitter got mad. They're like, oh yeah, you're a bear, and all of a sudden, it's a scam pump because it went against you. No, guys, I wasn't upset that it pumped, right? I mean, yeah, it sucks to lose money. I call all these candles scam candles, right? You have one here where it was like 1.5 thousand volume, and even though I'm a bear, this was a scam candle too back here. If I can ever find it, that was a scam candle. I even talked about it, right? 2.5 thousand Bitcoin in 5 minutes. Come on. Whereas all the ones before that were like 4 Bitcoin, 12 Bitcoin, 6 Bitcoin, right? It's just this one made me money, whereas that one lost me money, right? That's the name of the game. But the other thing these do is they create gaps. So we had this gap, right, from here to here. And what happened? Price eventually came back up and filled in that gap, right? Right here, it filled it in. So now when you have another scam candle, right? Now you got a gap sitting down here. So that's not a reason to be bullish. That's a reason to be bearish. And speaking of gaps, watch this. We have 3 gaps that are really close on the CME, okay? Basically, for those of you that don't know, the CME, it closes 2 days a week from Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, Central Time. But it also closes 1 hour each day between 4 p.m. Central Time and 5 p.m. Central Time. So yesterday when it closed at 4 p.m., it was down here and reopened way up here, okay? Looks like that. So now we have this gap that's sitting between this tail and this wick between 91.20 and 92.55. So that's bearish, you know. Price often wants to fill those in. We also have a gap sitting down here between 85.40 and 85.75. Price often wants to fill that in. We also have a gap sitting down here around 7,700. Price wants to fill that in. Does it guarantee that they'll get filled in? Of course not. And by the way, I think it's entirely possible that they do get filled in and that the bear market is still over and that this ends up being a new uptrend, that this ends up being basically a great place to buy Bitcoin. Okay, we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. The thing to remember about these gaps is they are bearish, but they're not guaranteed to fill. So you don't want to like set your trade plan in stone, like I'm not buying no matter what unless those gaps fill, unless you're okay missing out, because you might miss out, okay? There have been times in the past where gaps did not fill in. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. If you go back in time to earlier this year, well, excuse me, I guess earlier last year now. How crazy is that? Here's a gap right here. And if you waited for that to fill, you'd still be waiting. It's down around $3,570. It never filled, okay? So it's really important to understand that it's not guaranteed. It absolutely can go up without filling it in. However, one of the reasons this makes me more, hesitant to go long is because this was one gap, right? All the other gaps on the way up did fill in. Like this gap here, you can see it threw a tail down to fill it. But these, on the other hand, there's 3 of them, okay? So that makes me nervous. Now, somebody said in one of the videos, I said, well, what about the gap up around 11,000, 12,000? Yeah, there's a gap up there too. Let me find it real quick. It's hard to see, but it's right there, okay, up around 11.8 or 11.9. Can you see it right here? There is a gap up there. So why am I not as concerned about it? It's because it's further away, right? I feel like price, the closer the gap, the more they matter. This one's, from back in August, and it's also much further away. That being said, that was one of the reasons I closed my shorts when it pumped up to 10 grand in October, because I did think it might go up here and try to fill in that gap. So it's not that I'm ignoring it. It's just that right now it doesn't feel as relevant as these, okay? So I want to show you guys that there are gaps there. It does make me a little bit hesitant, and I'm just going to play this safe. I'm still waiting for it to break that weekly high before I get too overly bullish, okay? As far as fractals go, the 2018 fractal, there are some key differences developing, right? When we look at this back here, it did come up, but it went right back down. Here it came up, basically consolidated, and now it's moving up again. So it is starting to look quite a bit different from 2018. The one thing I would say is, you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch if you're a bull, because if you look here, this pumped 46.6%, and if you look here, this actually pumped 46.8%. They're almost identical as far as the size of the pumps, okay? So it's, some people are going to look at that and say, it's almost up 50%. You're crazy if you're bearish. Well, look what happened back here. Okay, so keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind, and by the way, guys, I'm not going to go over the weekly chart today because the week hasn't closed. It does look bullish to me, especially if it can break through this. The 3-day chart also looks bullish to me. It's broken outside of its RSI box. It's broken, above its downward sloping trend line. So I don't see anything bearish from either one of those charts. So I'm just waiting for confirmation that we're going to break through this level and close above 9,500 really. One thing I did want to share with you guys, and I say take this with a grain of salt, okay? I'm just going to point it out, and you can do with the information whatever you want. Back in 2011, I was looking at charts. I wasn't even looking for this. I was looking at something else and happened to notice this. Back in 2011, basically it topped out in June, and then in January of 2012, it basically had this big rally off the bottom. and then it dumped. It dumped 46%. And this top before that rally was actually 210 days, right? From this top to this top before it moved down 47%. Okay, so remember that number, roughly 7 months. Okay, if we go over to 2013, here's the top, and if we go over this last top, right, it had this big rally, consolidated a little bit, looked like the bottom was in, had this huge rally where it actually pumped up quite a bit, over 100%, I believe. Yeah, 96%. Okay, was looking pretty good. And then it ended up dumping 75%. So from this last high here, before it dumped, 217 days. Okay, this high here was 182, 189, and then 217 right here was the final chance to get out before it dumped 75%. Okay, so again, roughly 7 months. If we go to 2017, if we take this top and we draw this over and we say, okay, your last chance before this thing absolutely capitulated and you were screwed, it's 224 days. Okay, so again, roughly 7 months. Here's 217, here's 224. What happened after that? Price dropped 62%. So you've got 3 occurrences of this where it goes up, has a false rally, and then it dumps, right? Roughly 7 months, 210 days in this case, before it dumped 47%. In this case, it was roughly 217 days for this last top here before it dumped 75%. And 2017, it was roughly 224 days before it dumped 62%. Okay, who cares? Well, here's why I care. If we go from our top in June to where we're at right now, it's been 217 days or 31 bars. It'll be 217 days at the end of the week, which is roughly what? 7 months. Okay, so every single time you've had a 47% drop, 75% drop, and a 62% drop. And that's why I'm not ready to go full bull, guys. Again, I'm not shorting this. I'm going to be very clear. The only shorts I'm going to take are going to be scalps for now. I do not feel any need or any desire to fight the trend, the day trend, any further. Okay. If it goes down, it'll be a bummer that I missed out on a huge trade, but I don't want to fight it. It's not a good trade plan to fight the trend. Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I still think there's a very good possibility this is one big fake out. And I'm going to show you guys something that's kind of scary. I keep talking about on the weekly, waiting for this higher high on the weekly, waiting for this higher high on the weekly, right? That line right there. And that is bullish structure. So if it breaks above that, I'm going to, switch bias to bull. But the scary thing is guys, if you did that in 2014, you would have still been screwed. Okay. If you look at the weekly, the weekly high was right there. Okay. So this pump after 182 days that basically lasted until 217 days, guess what it did? It broke the bullish structure. It went above and closed above that weekly high. Ended up being one massive bull trap, and then price capitulated and moved down 75%. So gonna suck pretty bad if this is what we're seeing. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the Bitcoin picture, guys. I mean, we talked about the weekly. What I'm looking for is a close above that level. We talked about the daily, how this has been basically a series of successful flips where it's flipping resistance to support, including so far it's done that this time as well. So you need to keep a close eye on that. If we look at the 200-day moving average, we're well above it, right? That's bullish in nature. So again, one reason that I'm not looking for short positions and I'm trying to be on the sidelines for now. I do recognize the fact that, it was above the 200 here and still collapsed, right? So I'm keeping that in mind for sure. Also, if you look at the BLX chart, it has a history of doing this, right? Had the fake out here, had the fake out here, had the fake out here, had the fake out. This is the one that really interests me, is right here. All those other ones, even if they were fake outs, they had great big pumps. So you could have, rode them up for, 30, 40, 50% and still made money. But this is that 2014, 2015 market. And basically, this is kind of like almost like October. And then you had all this where it was just, looking really bullish. And again, that was before, that's basically when everybody thought the bottom was in. And then it ended up dumping 75%. So this is my big I think the big gotcha, right? The market might end up pulling on us. But other than that, when it's broke above the 200, it's been a pretty successful trade. Really, this is the only time where it would have really screwed you. Because like I said, all these other times, like if you went long here at 250, it went all the way up to like 316. And when it started coming back down, you had a long time to get out of that trade for a profit. And over here, same thing. Yeah, it broke above it, at 8,000, and yeah, it fell to 3,000 or 3,200. But before it did, it went up to 12,000. So you could have made a ton of money, right? So I think we just have to wait and see, for this to unfold. Like, we don't know. Is this going to be a false break where it comes up and then comes right back down? Is it going to be a break where it comes down, consolidates, and then goes up? Is it going to be a break where it comes down, consolidates, traps a bunch of people, and then dumps? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to manage my risk appropriately. Okay, I'm not going to, do anything crazy where I'm putting in money that I can't afford to lose. I'm not going to do anything where it's like, oh my God, I've got to buy, X number of Bitcoin so that I can get rich one day. Nothing like that, right? I have a certain amount of Bitcoin that I'm going to buy, and I'm going to buy that same number of Bitcoin, whether it's, $9,500, whether it's $8,500, whether it's $5,000, right? I'm going to be disciplined and not chase this, market like it's a lottery ticket. It's not. It's not a lottery ticket, right? It's just an investment. Anyway, I hope you guys got something out of this video. I know it's a tough time right now. I know that, a lot of people are just really not sure what to do. And I think the best, thing I can say is just make sure you're not playing with money you can't afford to lose, right? That's the biggest thing is, make sure that the money is disposable so that if you're wrong and you lose it, it's not going to have a, catastrophic effect on your life. Me personally, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for more confirmation. I've waited this long. There's no reason in my mind for me to FOMO in at 93 or 9,400 bucks versus just waiting for a close above 9,500, okay? Or 9,550, to be more specifically. So with all that being said, guys, please remember I am literally some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Nothing in this video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget you can check the description for links where you can follow me on TradingView, Twitter, where you can join my free Facebook group, and where you can join my trading course if you'd like to learn technical analysis and how to trade for yourself. This is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to trade safe.